Prabhu, Prabhuji, Vishwanath Prabhu for facilitating chanting. Start prayers. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminate Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome, Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we are continuing with our prayers from Prarthana by Shri Narottam Das Thakur. Yesterday was a very auspicious day of Shri Radha Kund appearance, and we are glorifying the Vrindavan Dham, which comprises of all these wonderful abodes and wonderful Leela Sthalis of the Lord. So we are singing Vrindavan Ramyasthan today. Meenakshi Mohini will sing. So let me share the screen. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Koti Koti Pranam. Vrindavana Ramya Sthana Divya Chintamani Dhama Ratana Mandira Manohara Abrata Kalindini Re Rajahamsa Kilikare Tahe Shobhe Kanaka Kamala Taramধ্যে হিমাপীঠ অষ্টদলে বেষ্টিত অষ্টদলে প্রধান নায়িকা তারাमध्ये রত্নাসানে বসিয়াছে দুই জানে শ্যামা সঙ্গে সুন্দরী রাধিকা Urupalavanyarási amiya parichekasi hasya parihasya samhasane Narottama dasa koe nityalila sukhamoe sadai sfurakamora mane Vrindavana Ramya Sthana Divya Chintamani Dhama Ratana Mandira Manohara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare श्री वृंदावन स्थान वृंदावन रम्य स्थान की जय नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय
Prabhupada ki jai.
Beautiful Vrindavan is filled with Chintavani gems and many jewel palaces and temples. Many regal swans play in the waters of the Yamuna, and in those waters a splendid golden lotus flower grows. In the middle of that lotus is a golden place surrounded by 8 petals. On these 8 petals, the 8 principal gopis reside, and in the center, Lord Shyamasundar and beautiful Srimati Radharani sit on a jewel throne. The great beauty of the divine couple and their charming joking and laughter continually showers nectar everywhere. Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, I pray that these blissful, eternal, transcendental pastimes of the divine couple may be always manifested in my heart. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yes, yes. So the shower of their nectar spreads everywhere. So like that, the shower of the nectar of the lordships and his pure devotees inspires all of us, inspires all the other devotees, all the other sadhakas. That's how transitioning into Prabhupada Lilamrit. Yesterday we saw the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada are experiencing the joy, experiencing the bliss of this nectar, when they're going out for Sankirtan, for the book distribution. And they were amazed how it is continuing to grow and how much of bliss and immense satisfaction they're experiencing, because they know that this is not their endeavor, but it is the mercy. It is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Like we saw yesterday, I forget who was the devotee, but and they said they went out and they didn't have they didn't have any big books, and they were told that, why didn't you're in Maya, you didn't even carry the big books, how will you sell it? The next day he carries one book of teachings of Lord Chaitanya, but he only sells all these small books. And then one Mataji comes and asks him, "Oh, what is that big book you have?" Right? And then automatically, without any of his endeavor, you know, it is automatically sold. So then he realizes, yes, we pray to Srila Prabhupada before we go out, and then it is actually Srila Prabhupada who's distributing the books. So, and then they come out and they share all these stories, how their day went, what experiences they had, what realizations they had, and it is pure nectar. Other devotees who are in the temple performing other services, like one devotee was painting in the Detroit temple, and then he hears this, and then he's inspired, and he goes out. So like that, the spark of inspiration is spreading from one to another across all the temples, and from west coast to east coast. And like Prabhupada wanted, that was his mood, that every person in the United States should have a book. That's what he told them, right? And to fulfill that mission, all of his sincere disciples, with eagerness, enthusiasm, and determination, they were going out and distributing these wonderful books. And now Prabhupada is at that time was in India. Now he comes to New York and then to LA. And now he's in LA. And he's sitting in his garden. And he really likes this garden. So let's continue. See what Prabhupada says here. It's almost like an adventure. When you go out for book distribution, it's an adventure. Reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit is also an adventure to see what will happen next. So hopefully all of us are excited. Anybody else would like to read today? Continue. Okay, Srila Prabhupada so much liked his Los Angeles garden that he decided he wanted one like it at his Mayapur headquarters. With regard to the Mayapur house, I may suggest you make one roof garden. On the top of the house, you can put soil of 6 inches and then plant so many tulsi plants and nice bushes. I like the garden very much. Just like here in Los Angeles Temple, they have made one very nice garden for me, and I sit there every evening. So you please also make a first class Mayapur garden. At about 10 in the evening, Srila Prabhupada would usually go into his bedroom and lie down. His servant, Shrutakirti, would massage his legs, and Prabhupada would then close his eyes. Meanwhile, Rameshwar would be waiting at the bottom of the stairs, hoping that the secretary or servant would come down with a message from Prabhupada. As Prabhupada was sent a message, I got a message on my laptop. One second, let me close this. All right. Okay, so yeah. So Rameshwar, I was too afraid to go into Srila Prabhupada's room, so I would be waiting at the bottom of the stairs, just hanging there, just waiting for one word. Srila Prabhupada would often say something and it would be passed to me. Then every morning, the Sankirtan devotees would just surround me and ask, "What did he say?" They would be begging for some nectar. It was an intense experience. We felt that we were all having a special direct connection with Srila Prabhupada. While waiting outside Prabhupada's door, I would be in transcendental bliss, just thinking how we were distributing books as an offering of pure love for our spiritual master. This was the first time the devotees were going to the airports. No one else in the movement was going to an airport except the devotees in Los Angeles. So it was something very special. No one was doing big books in the quantity that we were. At one point, when Srila Prabhupada saw one of my daily Sankirtana reports, he commented, "Who is Rameshwara?" Day after day, Srila Prabhupada was seeing these ecstatic reports sprinkled with nectarian quotes from his Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter that had just been published. He realized that these disciples were in ecstasy, and so he asked, "Who are they?" He could see we loved Sankirtan. It was not an artificial burden or that we were struggling. He could see that there didn't seem to be any struggle. It was like fun, bliss, ecstasy, and the whole philosophy was there. We were completely tuning into the Chaitanya Charitamrita philosophy that Lord Chaitanya descends with his confidential associates to spread love of God, but doesn't discriminate who is a fit candidate and who is not. These were the verses we were putting into the daily letter. This was our mood, and Prabhupada loved it. From Shrutakirti's point of view, the evening massage was a very special time because Srila Prabhupada seemed free of the pressure of the day's management. Shrutakirti would bring several night blooming jasmine flowers from the garden, and Prabhupada would place the fragrant blossoms near his nose during the massage. He would be even quieter and more relaxed than during the Krishna book reading. There was no business to attend to. He had done a hard day's work. Although he would be rising after only 3 hours of rest, he now lay back, enwrapped in thought or chanting softly. Some evenings, Srila Prabhupada would delay the massage and slowly walk back and forth in his bedroom, chanting on his beads, or he would sit on his bed and chant. But on most nights, he would lie on his back while Shrutakirti massaged his legs. If he if he conversed with his servant at all, it wouldn't be about ISKCON management. He might he might look at a picture on the wall and say, "How beautiful Krishna is. How could they not be attracted to Krishna?" Or sometimes he would talk about his childhood and other informal topics. But even at this relaxed time, he relished hearing the Sankirtana results. And so he would sometimes read Rameshwara's daily report or simply say something about preaching Krishna consciousness. One night, after reading Rameshwara's ecstatic daily Sankirtan report, Prabhupada felt moved to write a message on the back of the report. Dating the paper April 20th, 1973, he wrote, "My dear boys and girls, you are working so hard for broadcasting the glories of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, and thus my Guru Maharaj will be so pleased upon you. Certainly, my Guru Maharaj will bestow his blessings 1,000 times more than me, and that is my satisfaction. All glories to the assembled devotees." A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Everyone should go with the Sankirtan party as soon as possible. Rameshwara may have been shy while quietly waiting at the bottom of the stairs for the slightest recognition from Srila Prabhupada. But when he received the prize jewel of this handwritten note, he ran off, shouting to share the good fortune with any devotee who was still awake. Tripurari. Every morning after Mangala Aarti, there was always a little group clustered around the door of the temple because you weren't supposed to talk in the temple while chanting japa early in the morning. So Rameshwar was standing at the doorway chanting, and he called us over until a little cluster of devotees were there at the doorway. He showed us Prabhupada's note. Some of the other devotees got frustrated seeing that we were talking during the japa period. They felt we were a distraction or that we weren't absorbed in our service or in our japa. But actually, we were really intensely absorbed in thinking of Sankirtana. And when we returned to our japa, we began chanting with the desire to be able to go out and please Prabhupada. In a few days, Prabhupada's words, "Everyone should go with the Sankirtan party as soon as possible," reached the other temples. And although Srila Prabhupada soon left Los Angeles, returning to India, his message stayed and deepened the devotees' convictions. In the summer of 1973, the devotees found that at concerts they could distribute hundreds of Krishna books in a few hours. The Krishna book, available now as a paperback trilogy with a foreword by George Harrison, was especially attractive to young people. In July, Rameshwar wrote to Prabhupada in London, telling him that the Los Angeles temple was distributing 2,000 Krishna books a week, and that at one concert, devotees had distributed 600 books in 2 hours. Wow. The devotees in Los Angeles decided that Tripurari and a few other leading Sankirtana men should travel from temple to temple and share their experience. Rameshwar wrote to Prabhupada, "This is the mercy of Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadhish, the deities of the Los Angeles temple, that we can send out so many devotees to other centers. It is the real opulence of New Dwarka." Srila Prabhupada replied on August 3. There is no doubt about it. To distribute books is our most important activity. The temple is a place not for eating and sleeping, but as a base from which we send out our soldiers to fight with Maya. Fight with Maya means to drop thousands and millions of books into the laps of the conditioned souls. Just like during the wartime, the bombs are raining from the sky like anything. I like also your program of sending out your best men to teach the others. That is the actual progress of Krishna consciousness, to train others. Continue this program so that in the future every devotee in our movement will know the art of distributing books. This is approved by me. A letter from a woman who had recently received some of Prabhupada's books appeared in the July BBT newsletter. The newsletter had been written on TWA in-flight stationery. In the San Francisco airport, before I departed for London, the Krishna book was given to me by one of your followers. I never felt so happy and privileged, or honored would be a better phrase. I am sick of this material rat race. I want a higher life, without material riches and games. On her way back from London, she had purchased another book, Rajavidya, in the Chicago airport, and now asked for more help. It is beautiful, she concluded. As Tripurari traveled and taught this method of Sankirtan, more devotees followed his example and began wearing a wig and conventional dress while selling books. This way of dressing made approaching people much easier and increased the potential for distributing books. Some devotees, however, disapproved. One day in September 1973, during Srila Prabhupada's morning walk on Juhu Beach in Bombay, a few of his sannyasi disciples brought the matter before him. Prabhupada referred to the many gentlemen strolling along Juhu Beach who would always offer respects to the devotees by folding their hands and saying Hare Krishna. This was the sign of a real Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada said. Anyone who sees him immediately thinks of Krishna. The devotees therefore should prominently display such Vaishnava markings as tilaka, shikha, and neck beads so that people could know, here are Hare Krishna people. One sannyasi remarked that in America devotees were now wearing wigs and dressing like hippies to distribute books. He did not let his own men to do this because he felt it self-defeating if people didn't even know they were speaking to a devotee. If someone wanted to distribute books, he concluded, Krishna would help that devotee find a place where he could do so without having to disguise himself. Srila Prabhupada turned to the others, asking their opinions. One devotee suggested that the reason the devotees in America wore disguises was because otherwise they would not be permitted to distribute books in certain places. Prabhupada heard the opinions and then gave his decision. These disguises should be stopped immediately. We shall not in any way sacrifice our standards, he said. We must maintain our principles strictly. This dressing with long hair and karmi clothes is the tendency to once again become hippies. Because we were hippies, the tendency is still there. So this should be stopped. Walking back toward the temple, Prabhupada saw a poor man evacuating by the roadside in public view. He is not changing his standard despite public opinion, Prabhupada said. Can we not maintain our standards as strictly as they are maintaining theirs? A letter was drafted and signed by Tamal Krishna Goswami, Prabhupada's secretary, and Prabhupada signed also on a line marked approved. The letter stated that all Sankirtana devotees should always wear tilak, dhotis, neck beads, and shikha, and should depend on Krishna rather than disguises to help distribute books. At the bottom of the letter, however, was a personal side note. Srila Prabhupada, upon checking the above, added, if they like, they may wear coat and pants, but tilak, shikha, beads, these things should be there. Previously, Srila Prabhupada had addressed the subject in various letters. To Jagadish in Canada, Prabhupada had replied that there was no objection to wearing Western clothes, including a wig or hat. We have to take whatever is favorable position for executing Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada had written. Sometimes we may adopt such means in order to help distribute books. But in February 1973, he had written to Rupanuga that he did not want devotees dressing as hippies. This should be stopped. We should not give anyone cause to call us hippies. But the devotees may dress up in respectable clothes like ladies and gentlemen in order to distribute my literatures under special circumstances. Wherever there are individuals, there are bound to be differences of opinion. Srila Prabhupada preferred to be spared such detailed management. His GBC men should consult among themselves and then present their conclusions to him for a final decision. In this way, Prabhupada had written, I will be free to concentrate on my translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. The letter from India reached Karandhar in LA, but before announcing that all Sankirtana in Western clothes must be stopped, he wanted Prabhupada to hear his side of the story. He gave an elaborate report on the benefits of devotees wearing ordinary Western dress while selling books. The main thing Prabhupada seemed to be objecting to, he concluded, was a disreputable appearance, devotees looking like hippies. He now informed Prabhupada that the distributors were accurately clean, well groomed, and presentable. If the book distributors were restricted to appearing in public with shaved head and dhoti, he said, then the distribution would decline by about two-thirds. If extremes and misapplications have occurred, he wrote, they should be worked out rather than giving up the whole program. This time, Srila Prabhupada replied in favor of Western dress. Yes, you can go on with your book distribution as you were doing before. There is not any harm. I thought that our men were becoming like hippies, but now I understand from you that this is not the case. So I have no objection. Our main business is to distribute books, and from the reports I am receiving from all over the world, the progress is very encouraging. A disagreement arose about the distributors' techniques. A few people had written the ISKCON secretary complaining that they had been misled or pressured into buying a book, a complaint to which devotees responded variously. The book distributors were protective of Prabhupada's order that as many books as possible be distributed. Just because a few people had complained, they argued, was no reason to cool down book distribution. They quoted Srila Prabhupada's statements that opposition to Sankirtana indicates its purity and genuineness. Srila Prabhupada had explained this point in his books in discussing the historical incident of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtana parties being stopped by the Muslim government. Prabhupada had written, we must remember that such incidents took place in the past, 500 years ago, and the fact that they are still going on indicates that our Sankirtan movement is really authorized. For if Sankirtana were an insignificant material affair, demons would not object to it. People in America had also objected to public chanting, to the devotees' dress, to the Krishna consciousness philosophy, to the food. Someone would always oppose. The main thing the big distributor said was to save the conditioned souls who were heading for a hellish next life. If a person got a book and read just one page, his life could be changed. Other devotees, however, including temple presidents, were disturbed by the complaints. Someone recalled that Prabhupada had already addressed this point in 1970. Do all activities with great enthusiasm. All our activities must be open so that no one may criticize our mission. So all dealing must be to the standard of Vaishnavism. As everything is undertaken forthrightly in Krishna consciousness, in a Krishna conscious way, then Lord Krishna will be pleased to provide all facilities for aiding such sincere service. Srila Prabhupada wanted the book distributors to execute his order, but he was not giving them a license to do anything and everything and claim it was for Krishna. Preaching required expertise, not only in getting people to take a book, but in giving them the right impression. The book distributors maintained that they were doing the best they could, but that they would try to improve. If other devotees thought they could do better, then they should demonstrate how to distribute books without disturbing anyone. Distributing books all day, day after day, was hard. People were already agitated by their minds and senses and harassed by their occupations, governments, and personal relationships. No wonder even an innocent devotee sometimes disturbed them. The tactics in question were mostly the book distributors' lines. The distributors would say that they were students, that they were helping yet young people off drugs, or that the books were about how to solve modern day crisis. None of these things were untrue, but the emphasis was sometimes excessive. A mature devotee could speak more directly. Tripurari would tell how the books described an ancient civilization in which people knew how life should be lived. He would present himself as a representative of an organization that had communities all over the world where people could benefit from the example of an alternative lifestyle. Tripurari and others were able to be both personal and in a casual way philosophical as they spoke about spiritual life. They made quick friends with strangers and convinced them to take books, but more and more devotees were taking up book distribution and many were inexperienced. Srila Prabhupada's philosophy was clear, but different interpretations persisted. Without referring to specific techniques, Prabhupada simply stressed the purity of book distribution and encouraged the book distributors to continue without interruption. The main thing was to distribute books. Devotees continued to press Srila Prabhupada for further clarification. The book distributors were concerned that the urgency of book distribution not be minimized, whereas other responsible ISKCON leaders were concerned that loose practices might hamper the society's progress. Prabhupada replied to the questions by Balimardhan of New York with a letter that became particularly influential. The real preaching is selling books. You should know the tactic how to sell without irritating. What your lecture will do for 3 minutes. But if he reads one page, his life may be turned. We don't want to irritate anyone, however. If he does, if he goes away by your aggressive tactics, then you are nonsense and it is your failure. Neither you could sell a book, neither he would remain. If he buys a book, that is the real successful preaching. Prabhupada's position was clear. The book should be sold, but expertly. And lest there should be any doubt, Prabhupada reiterated that the book distribution was the best preaching. The success of your preaching will be substantiated by how many books are sold. Prabhupada also wrote, the art is to sell many, many books and not to irritate the public. As books continued to go out by the millions, many people expressed their thanks on receiving a book. Only occasionally would someone complain. But within ISKCON, the dialogue regarding book distribution techniques continued. When Sri Govinda, the president of ISKCON Chicago, wrote Prabhupada, Prabhupada encouraged him in his attempt to reform the devotees engaged in excessive practices. So, it is not very much advisable to make lies just to sell books. If we simply stick to describing how wonderful is Krishna, that will not be a lie. But other things, lies, they will not help us to train ourselves in truthfulness. Lie to some, not to others. That is not a good philosophy. Rather, the Brahmins are always truthful, even to their enemies. There is sufficient merit in our books that if you simply describe them sincerely to anyone, they will buy. That art you must develop, not art of lying. Convince them to give by your preaching the absolute truth, not by tricking. That is the most mature stage of development of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's pause here. Okay, and anybody else would like to share your thoughts, reflections, comments? While you're thinking, yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, this thing about truthfulness, of course, these are the four pillars of religion, right? So, like truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy. Um, so these things should be completely completely followed. Yeah, and that's where like our four regulative principles also emphasize on that, right? So no meat eating, no intoxication, cleanliness, austerity, mercy, truthfulness. These are all the pillars. So when we practice the four regulative principles, we are following the principles of religion. And yeah, so being truthful. And Prabhupada says, yeah, we can, since we are in this world, of course, we are, especially now, even now, we are most of the congregation has changed, right? Earlier during Prabhupada's time, it was mostly brahmacharis and sannyasis. Now we have more grihasthas in the congregation, and we all have our daily jobs, our work, our profession, our business. So we meet people of the world in our profession, in our work. So it's not like we can completely just go in Vaishnava clothes everywhere. But like Prabhupada says here, as much as possible, at least the tilak should be there, shikha should be there, beads should be there. So yeah, we have the neck beads, tilak. Of course, if you're able to do it, then that is the best. But if not, many of the Maharajas have described that, yeah, we can put water tilak. Yeah, we take water, we purify ourselves, we chant mantras, and then we put on water tilak every morning. So like that. So that truthfulness should be there. Same thing with austerity. Yeah, that we should practice austerity of our body, of our mind, of our speech, everything. Right. So yeah, waking up in the morning, doing our sadhana, it's a big austerity. And again, Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada have explained that austerity is what attracts Krishna's attention and Krishna's mercy. So austerity is important. Mercy should not we should be merciful to others. We should be merciful to not just humans, but even animals, right? So that is one of the big things Prabhupada used to emphasize against Christian preaching, that why thou shalt not kill. And not only certain religions, even in India, even in Hindus, Prabhupada would criticize, when he would go, like we saw, he went to a Calcutta and Durga temple, even the followers of Durga, they would eat meat, they would eat fish, and they would kill innocent animals. So what kind of mercy is that? So if we are doing that, when on the other hand we are saying we are religious, then we are just bogus, right? You're not following religion, because that is the pillar of religion, to show mercy, to show compassion towards other living entities. So like that, these are essential principles of religion that by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are able to follow by following the four regulative principles. And we're able to also be austere in our body, mind, and speech. Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
I was just thinking that the Rameshwar Prabhu in LA, his mood while distributing book was so much pure that he was waiting downstairs to just get a message from Srila Prabhupada and not, doing so much and still not facing Srila Prabhupada. That was very remarkable. I felt that is very, humble and still doing his job, doing his duty towards his spiritual master. One message from Srila Prabhupada is what he waited and gave, boosted him to keep on going. I felt that was really, very heart touching. Another thing I felt from today's reading is like in the core of my heart, I want to do book distribution, but I always feel that I am not capable, or I'm not. It is not my cup of tea. I would not do a good job. I always feel that, but I want to try. So from today's reading, I was thinking that Srila Prabhupada had so many instructions that it is an art, it is a science, it is a thing that we should learn from those who are doing it nicely. So maybe our book distribution team, Vishwanath Prabhu is here. Aditya Prabhu, who always do a great job. So maybe, they can train some of us whenever we have a little time. We are able to contribute, but I feel that little bit of training would help the congregation, those who are willing and those who want to get a little bit trained before actually going out and doing it. I thought that would be nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm sure that the readings we are doing yesterday and today is like so much like nectar to the ears to our book distribution team. So thank you so much. Big Hari Bol to our book distribution team. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, maybe once Vishwanath Prabhu is back, or maybe we can arrange. Maybe the last week of Bhishma Panchak, Vishwanath Prabhu, if you're listening, if you're not, I'll talk to you separately. I know you're sometimes busy with your DD worship this time. But yeah, maybe during the week of Bhishma Panchak, when you're back, you can, in one of our programs, you can talk about that.
Sure, Prabhuji. I'll work on it while I'm in India. Presentation.
Yeah, just some key points, things that you think will be beneficial for others to get inspired, motivated, and yeah. And also, while you're here, maybe you can coordinate with Aditya Narayan Prabhu. If there is any events during this month of Kartik where we can go out. I was also thinking we can take some books, like just a handful, like when Prabhupada disciples would come. Like I remember first time when I met Srila Prabhupada disciple at my home in Louisville, Kentucky, he would come, both Prabhuji and Mataji Adikarta Prabhu. Mataji, they will travel, they will come from Lexington, but they will bring books, they'll bring Srila Prabhupada books. It may just be like 24 books, not like what we set up at the table, hundreds of books, but at least 24 books. And for small programs also. So like that, I'm thinking, and we are doing this Kartik program at home programs. Maybe, you could tell Aditya Narayan Prabhu, just bringing, if we can bring like same thing, 15, 20 books. If there are a few new people, at least, we can distribute those small books to them. So that will be a good endeavor this month of Kartik. But if there are any special events also in this month of Kartik, please let us know. I think this will be a very, very nice opportunity for devotees to go out on book distribution this month.
Yes, Prabhuji, we'll post it. We normally post it in the book distribution thing there. So Prabhuji and but I like the home program idea as well too. The idea is to always have some books in your car.
Yes.
Always keep something, so you never know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So at least displaying some small books for sure. Because there are so many new devotees at Narayan Prabhu, but Pragya Mataji's home. I think we could have. I know.
I actually asked the announce, but nobody did.
I'm sure you have all these books in your car, so yeah, we can always get it.
Yeah. So I think, but that's a good idea. That in the home program, it's a nice way of getting people to. But you're right. We should have a display before we start, so that way people focus on that as well too.
It's for your service, Prabhu. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. I hope you have safe travels. I know you're going today to the Vrindavan Dham. So I hope you bring back a lot of mercy for all of us from Sri Vrindavan Dham. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to say anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I wanted to share that yesterday we had our doorbell ring, and we had few Indian visitors who we didn't know, and there were 5 of them. 2 of them were from Cincinnati, one from Michigan from another part, another from Michigan from another part, and they were from Swadhyay. And I don't know if you've had that experience, but they came and they said, we are just here to have a conversation with you
Achhi
guys.
baat. They say achhi baat.
So then we brought them in, and so the one thing that they said was, we are here because we are followers of Pandurang Shastri, and we do Swadhyay, and we just want to have the spiritual talk with anyone who comes and meets us and stuff like that. So they were very surprised to see deities, home, and then Bhagavad Gita and everything. But so one thing I really liked is that they were going out of their way, out of their comfort zone, meeting people. They said they just found the address based on the address book and seeing Indians and stuff. And they came and introduced themselves. They happened to know some devotees as well from our congregation. So stuff like that. So that was nice that they, and they were quite elderly. So coming out of that uncomfortable zone. But then the other thing that I felt was Srila Prabhupada has given us everything that we don't have to even go outside. So, we have such strong foundation that at the end of the whole conversation with them, we gave them Srila Prabhupada's books. And they were very happy to receive it. And, so I laid out books for them and I asked them to choose whichever they wanted. And few of them picked them up, and they were very excited. So that's what my take is, that Srila Prabhupada has given us everything in this movement, a lifestyle, culture, philosophy that we should really treasure it. Whoever has sunk it in, because it's not for everyone, or they feel it's not for them, but at least for us who we have taken it full swing, we should be really, really thankful for this and try to distribute it as much as we can.
Hari Bol. So nice. So probably so happy. Yes, they have visited us also a few times. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Like you said, they're going out of their comfort zone and they're very happy. Yes, when they came out, like first thing they noticed when they come into the house, like of course in our home also, on the right is the altar room. So I also make sure that, we at least show them the deity room, at least that they take darshan, right? At least that way they're getting some spiritual grade. Of course, they come for that. So it's a kind of a give and take, right? Yeah, we hear, we talk to them. They're very happy to hear that, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we are following the principles of Bhagavad Gita. The kids are, being raised in that kind of an atmosphere at home. So it is good. And like the other day, I think Adi Guru Prabhu shared in the WhatsApp group, right? We have to be appreciative of others' cultures, right? So we have to have our boundaries. Yeah, we have our faith and what we follow, but we should also be appreciative of, okay, this is Lord coming to me in a different tradition, and yeah, we appreciate that, right? We don't create borders around ourselves, but boundaries, like Keshav Maharaj was saying. And Giriraj Maharaj, I think I was reading one article around theme of Kartik, where he mentions the same thing. The picture of the Rasa Leela, where Krishna is expanding with all the gopis. He's saying this is an image of interfaith harmony, right? So if Krishna is expanding and he's reciprocating with each soul, Jivatma, individually, right? So like that, we are all part and parcel of the Lord, and yeah, we are practicing different forms of practices, but ultimately, our end goal is to connect back with the Lord. So yeah, when we give them that appreciation, we give them the love, and I'm sure, the love will always expand and grow around the world. Thank you so much for your wonderful inspiration, sharing that nice story, book distribution. And you gave Srila Prabhupada books. Yeah, Prabhupada, by his mercy, he is distributing the books through us. So we are serving as part and parcel. So very nice. Thank you so much. All right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Simply wonderful. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय। जगद्गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय। कार्तिक मास महामहोत्सव की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल।
Hare Hare Krishna.
कृष्ण।